No, that's what he said to me.
Well, it's just a good job his wrists are healthy. Okay, the numbers are in. Well, the partial numbers are in.
Mm,
Uh, you know, um, 14,400 deaths, not to mention wounded Ukrainian soldiers
mm,
since the invasion of Kursk, the Kursk region of Russia.
yeah.
They a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago. We see the videos coming from Kiev's side showing their latest weapon, which it's like a bomb and it drops molten metal
Mm,
and at really high temperatures
yeah.
uh, on the Russian enemy. And those that escape the metal get burned by in the brush fires that ensue. It's not a very healthy
Well,
situation to be in,
yes.
but it is war.
Mm,
Russia, on their part, uh, Kiev said that Russia, since the beginning of the conflict, has lost 446,000 soldiers so far,
mm,
and still counting. And Russia, they show rocket attacks on military bases and military schools,
mm,
killing hundreds of recruits before they even have a chance to die in battle.
mm.
Because it seems that dying is the favorite pastime of anybody who goes to the front lines. You know,
Well, yeah.
and you ask yourself, what for? Well,
Mm,
we know, you and I know,
mm,
because we've said it on previous podcasts in the past.
mm.
But it's only now that it's been said publicly by one of the biggest war hawks from the US, Senator Lindsey Graham.
Mm,
So what did he say? He went to Kiev for a meeting.
mm,
Uh, they gave a he gave a talk. He said that Kiev is sitting on $1 trillion mineral resource,
mm,
which will be good for the US economy.
mm.
So, open speech using his words. So I want to keep helping our friends in the Ukraine. We can win this. They need our help. He said this last Friday. Last
Mm.
Friday. We do these
Okay.
podcasts on Thursday. It,
Yeah.
so he said this last Friday.
Yeah.
Uh, like I said, we've said this before. You and I, we've said it before that it's more about the what's under the ground that's on than on top of it. You
Yeah.
know. But like I said, it's the first time it's been said openly in public. Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, he informed
That's,
that according to open source data, the
mm,
total value of Ukraine's former mineral resource base
mm,
is estimated at almost $14.8 trillion. But 7.3 trillion of this is now in the Ludansk and Donetsk People's Republics. That means almost half of the former Ukraine's national wealth is in
yeah.
Donbass,
Mm,
which is that
yeah.
region that wanted to go independent
Mm,
and that Russia decided to help out.
mm.
Nobody's innocent in this, by the way. I'm sure that Putin is looking at $7.3 trillion and thinking that'd be handy. I'm
Yeah.
sure I'm sure that he is.
Yeah.
Nobody's the innocent party in this.
No.
And I'm sure Zelensky is quite he knows about it as well, and I'm sure he's thinking, well, just give me 10% of that and I'm done. You know,
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, yeah. Okay. It's, yeah.
you know what I mean? But also, just to confirm something else, Victoria Nuland, former US Secretary of State,
Mm,
she confirmed that the West told Ukraine to refuse the 2022 peace deal
mm,
of this. There was a peace deal sorted out,
yeah.
and told Ukraine, don't do it,
Mm,
don't do it. So obviously, since back then, they're looking at all this underground wealth and
yeah.
thinking, just don't, you know. So at least we know that when Boris Johnson went to Ukraine in late March, early April of 2022, he
Mm,
did in fact tell Zelensky to keep on fighting.
mm,
Now we know this. We
mm,
knew this before because Johnson denied it. And as we know, Boris Johnson has got an allergy to the truth.
no, yeah.
He can never tell the truth because if he does, he comes out in a rash. And that's why he has to completely. It was his birthday, don't forget.
Mm,
It was a surprise party. Right.
oh dear,
So, like I said, these things are we already knew, you and I knew.
yeah.
Uh, but it's good to be able to dot the I's and cross the T's. It's all out now. It's all out in public
Mm,
knowledge now. It's all
yeah,
out. Everybody can see the Ukraine conflict for what it is,
yeah.
and it's nothing to do with those poor souls that are giving their life up for not even for honor or valor.
Mm,
It's more for the valleys where all the
mm,
underground wealth is. Um, and now it's official, of course.
mm.
Over to you, short and sweet.
Yeah. Blood diamonds, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I say, we're not exactly reading in surprise. I mean, yeah, okay, I never know what you're about to tell me, but I do know what you're telling me. Um,
right. Well
yeah,
put, well put,
yeah.
sir.
I mean, for anyone that thinks, Steve comes in here, and, yeah, I know what I was going to say. I don't, but yeah, I am aware of it because I read independently and I see things as well.
We've discussed this on previous podcasts.
As well, yeah. If you go back and yeah, if you go linking, I might put some links below later of where it might have appeared. We are, yeah. I don't believe any politician now does anything on principle. There's got to be a payback somewhere. Zelensky's well aware of this. I mean, when people say it was a bad investment a while ago, yeah, suddenly all hell's been let loose. Well, we've got to find a reason why we are actually fighting this war to sell it to the American people. Not just Americans, to us Europeans as well. I'm not happy there's a war happening anywhere in Europe personally, for any reason. I'd rather be doing trade with Ukraine and getting the commodities and everything else out the ground and delivered in a good way, and everybody benefits, rather than the widows and orphans are being created. I know there's women going to the front line as well, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. We're losing a whole generation of people in Eastern Europe. Yeah. Um, and yeah, I mean, Eastern Europe. I mean, it's sad. Also, I'm going to say this: Russians are dying needlessly as well.
Yeah, of
Um,
course. So for 446,000,
yeah,
according to Kiev.
yeah. How they know? I don't know. We can't. Yeah, I mean, we keep hearing that Russia's this big
I,
secret
I,
place. Yeah, yeah,
you've got to do a ballpark, something like that. They
yeah,
said, he said, she said.
yeah, yeah. Let's have a guess in between. Yeah, I mean, um, there is. I mean, Putin sat down and he said a lot with an interview with an American journalist. Now, whether you believed him or not, and we didn't say this obviously, but I think he alluded. I can't remember the conversation, but alluded to the wealth that's in Ukraine. That yeah, they were doing business. Ukraine was doing business with Russia, I believe, before the conflict started. The conflict started for various different reasons. As you said, there's no innocent parties now. There never have been innocent parties in all this. Yeah. Ukraine has always been a place. I mean, when you read the history of Ukraine, they've been invaded by so many different people for things they have and people want it, be it agricultural or other reasons. The least important people in Ukraine have always the most important, least important people in Ukraine have been Ukrainians. Okay, we can argue about the heritage of them. Some are white Russians, some are, don't forget the Polish were in charge of the place once and everyone else. Okay, you can go back in history and see things happen everywhere. I'm going to mirror somebody else here. Whatever the reasons, I want people to stop killing each other in Eastern Europe. I'm European. I don't want another major conflict in Europe. Thank you very much. I'd rather not have that. I always thought it was odd when Johnson went there, persuaded Zelensky to give up. Hang on, we've got to talk about this. I can't keep going. I will keep giving you weapons so your people can keep dying.
Which he denied, of course. Which Johnson denies, of course.
Well, yeah, well, okay. I love and hate Johnson at the same time. Okay, for various different reasons. Yeah.
You and I, we meet a watershed.
Yeah. Okay. We totally. Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. I've got different reasons for doffing my hat to him and throwing my hat at him at the same time. As it were. Yeah. But it is a worrying situation. Now, I've known it's been a war about wealth, minerals. We keep putting money in there. I said a while, a few podcasts back as well. Ukraine are going to owe people big. We're not going to be paying for these minerals there. We're going to be taking them. We're going to be taking them from the people of Ukraine.
Look,
we're not acting as an act of charity.
Yesterday, it was revealed that Western nations, and when I say Western nations, I mean Europe, have said to Zelensky he's going to have to work out a peace deal soon and accept less than what he imagined he would.
Yeah.
If he was victorious in war, because the West just doesn't have any more money or resources to give to Zelensky.
Yeah.
Europeans. I don't know if that is related to what Lindsey Graham was saying at the end of last week, because it could be that the Western nations are thinking, well, if the US are going to take all this stuff for themselves, what's in it for us? There's no meat on the bone here.
Yeah.
So, we're not going to spend any more money. And it's the two war hawks when you talk about countries are the US and the UK. And both countries have just liberated Kiev, used long-range missiles to go into Russia.
Yeah.
Which was up until about 3 weeks ago was a bit of a no-no. And so, I don't know if the US is trying to escalate things to such a point where they're going to have to cancel the US elections. Or if they are they realize that they're in the hole because of all the money that have already given Ukraine. Like I said, many weeks, I think last year, I said that the UK has got so deep into this that if the war ended, if Zelensky made a peace deal with Putin, the US they would lose so much money that they can't allow this to happen. They're going to have to go. They're going to have to go to the end of the road.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out experienced politician like Lindsey Graham, whom is someone I respect and distrust at the same time, is what he's up to. Has he put that on the table to actually, if you like, push to the end of the war, the conflict? So it's kind of a look here and then think about this sort of thing.
Well, you can bet your bottom dollar, Mark, that if he says this is going to be good for the US economy, he's saying I'm going to earn a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's really what he's saying.
I thought all politicians did it for public service. That doesn't matter. But yes,
What happened when you woke up? I mean, you just got to look back
yeah,
a few years
yeah,
for Biden's son
yeah,
speaking this Burisma thing. You know, it was
yeah,
all is paying people with backhanders, and
yeah.
you know, it's rife. It was rife. Um, and apparently, old habits die hard.
Well, it's
Allegedly.
yes. I was going to say, yeah. Let's be careful here. Yeah, um, yeah. It is a yeah, I wouldn't say it's a development in events because we knew it anyway, and it's not exactly
No, like I
revelation.
said, this
Yeah,
was just like to point the I's, cross the T's,
this, yeah.
and finally in the public domain.
He
Uh,
probably said
basically,
it. Yeah, before it came
basically,
out. Yeah, yeah.
this is just confirming what we've been saying for a long time.
Well, I don't think it was even undercover knowledge. It's in the public domain. It's not been picked up by a lot of mainstream media outlets.
Because
Yeah,
nobody will talk about it.
yeah, and it's get. I'm going to be quite honest. People likes of you and me, yeah, we've got time to study the media a bit because of what we do. You know, it's important I study the media and be aware of world affairs, what I do, and you are a little bit of a how can I put media junkie as well to a certain point, not media junkie, but news junkie. Um,
Don't use
yeah,
the word junkie and me in the same phrase, please.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, Steve's hobby is listening all day to current
There you are.
affairs. So, yeah, yeah, me not so much. So I do it because I have to. Yeah, it's like I just yeah, but it's a yeah, but we do pick up these things and all that. We look outside. We try and get a balanced view of what's going on. Steve and myself have always said we've never been happy with Russia um, being involved, going hot, going aggressively into Ukraine. But there are reasons behind it. And when you actually listen to the Russian justification and putting yourself in a Russian mind, it's understandable to a point. Yeah, I'm advocating war. Um, but I certainly don't like to see body bags of Ukrainians or Russians either. I'm humanitarian like that. I believe that's real liberalism to say it's 2 points of view. It's the innocent people who've got to go and fight wealthy people's wars.
It's them that always pays the price.
Yeah, and it's the likes of Steve, myself. Okay, we're older people. We won't get our call up papers anymore. But there's a generation behind us or behind us or them that are going to get their call up papers from this is triggering and starting. Yes, let's talk, guys. Let's talk, please. Yeah, let's resolve this. There should be enough goodies for everyone in the world. Yes.
The after the civil wars in ooh, where England was wanting to send the illegals.
Rwanda.
Rwanda, right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that one.
Mm.
My mind went boom.
Yeah, I always do that one. Yeah.
After the civil wars in Rwanda, now
Yeah.
the average age of
Mm.
a Rwandan is around about 20 years old, 22 years old.
Mm.
Because, like you said earlier on, you're going to lose a generation
Mm.
because of the conflict.
Mm.
And I suspect that in Ukraine, in another 10, 15 years, it's going to be the same thing, where the average age is going to be something like 20, 22 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're not just losing a generation, you're losing knowledge. I say wisdom, knowledge. You're growing up with a lot of younger people who have lost parents or parent. And obviously women, I mean, yeah, there's been, I think there's an article in the Telegraph or something today about the women of Ukraine waiting their husbands, or don't know if their husbands are coming back, or possibly even if they're alive. I couldn't read the full thing because it's through a paywall. I don't pay to read the Telegraph anymore. Yeah, I've had. It's a very sad thing. It's very human stories, and you've got to think of it in Russia as well. We're all
I suppose
being
I suppose it's going to benefit Tinder quite a lot. As
Yeah, yeah. Eastern Europe, Russian and Ukrainian. The whole section, Ukrainian and Russian uh, widows. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it's sad to. Yeah, okay, we're making a joke. It's an awful thing to think about. Um, I mean, I'm reading about Russian and Ukrainian people who got married in the Euro, living in the US and across Europe and all that now. They're in a, I wouldn't say they're in a dreadful place, but it's a very strange situation for them. Um,
a little bit like when the US was in a civil war, and you get people, the same family, or
yeah,
married. One was a Republican, one was a Democrat.
but it wasn't quite like that at the time. But yeah,
A
yeah,
rebel.
a Confederate, and a Unionist. Yeah,
Yeah,
so it was again, that was an awful war actually. When I've been studying a bit about that recently. Yeah, because we don't really do that much American history in schools, and it's only something I've recently picked up on. I've watched the films and everything, and wow, better try and delve a bit deeper. I mean, conflict and yeah, putting the point, conflict and war against anyone. And when you read about the English Civil War, 1642 to 16, or wars 1642 to 1649, yeah, where eventually cut off Ironoc's head because he wouldn't negotiate really. He was there, and that was that. Yeah, English history is strange, and then we still have a monarchy because we couldn't really settle with a Commonwealth. Um, yeah, we put a dictator in place of a dictator in effect. Um, Funny that, isn't it? But yeah, it's a it's sorry. But yeah, it's a sad fact. Please, can we negotiate, guys? I fully support people sitting down with Putin or Putin's representatives, because I don't think he'll be making a trip to anywhere, Turkey or wherever it will take place himself, and sorting this mess out for the sake of the world, if no one else.